Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the NDIS Circle podcast. Today we're joined by two incredible women who are changing the game in peds therapy in WA. Emily Truswell and Rachael Tomic are the co-founders of Kinetic Kids WA, an exciting therapy service that provides OT and physio for children with complex disabilities. Em and Rach share a passion for empowering kids and their families, especially those navigating complex disability needs, including deafblindness and dual sensory loss. Beyond therapy, Em and Rach also organise creative community events to build connections and reduce isolation for families. So today's convo, we're going to dive into your unique approach, guys, that you take in your work, your passion for early intervention, community building as well, which I think is something I really want to talk about, and also your overall journey. I know you started the business a couple of years ago, so I'm sort of keen to hear more about how that's been for you as business owners as well, growing your pediatric therapy practice. So yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to come on and talk to me. Could we start with yourself, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about Kinetic Kids, just to get us started. And I know you got a niche working with children with complex disability. Was that something you guys had? I know you worked together previously. Was that something that you already had a passion for, or was that something that sort of developed after starting the business?
Yeah, Rach and I worked together before and kind of tripped and fell into complex disability. I think we met some families and kind of were really in the trenches with them and loved it and loved the chaos of the complexity of navigating so many pots on the stove at once. I think we just really enjoy being in that space, and that's kind of where the passion came to start Kinetic Kids.
Yeah, awesome. What do you like so much about working with complex needs kids? Is it that you feel like you're able to make more of an impact? What sort of ignites the passion there?
I think the 1% feels a lot bigger than potentially, like, I don't know, both of us have worked in lots of different client kind of groups, and it feels like the teeny tiny stuff to someone who doesn't understand is like, what is it? That's not significant, but for us and for the families we work with, those things are huge. And yeah, I think that's what we both really enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. I know we've worked together to support a child with complex needs, and I think we had the conversation, I think it might have been with yourself, Rach, around the NDIS goals, and sort of we might need to sort of scale these back into more actionable small steps, which are still huge for that person, but perhaps it's not like an overall goal, you know, to be fully independent with daily living tasks. Maybe it's just participating in a small aspect of self-care or something small like that, breaking it down. I know, Rach, as well, you talked about therapy not feeling like therapy, and or not feeling like school for children, like trying to make it fun and enjoyable. Like, why do you think that's important, and how can therapy become a bit more fun for kids, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. So our first thing is kids should just be kids. So therapy is something we can do as an extra, but their occupation is being a child. So we want to make sure that they're having fun and they're able to participate in activities with their peers and things like that. So we have a strong focus on trying to implement our therapy in their natural environment. So like going out to their homes or the parks with them and showing them that they can just participate in their everyday life no matter what their ability kind of is.
Yeah, I think it's so important as well, especially like kids are at school 9 to 3 every day and then coming home and having to do intensive therapy. There's also that quality of life aspect as well, and kids just needing to be kids, and so much of the learning is maybe outside of the structured environment as well. So yeah, I love your guys' approach around making it actually fun for kids. What about the dual sensory disabilities like deafblindness? I know you guys have a particular passion for that. Did that come from where you were previously working with a few children in that space?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think the same again, we kind of just met people and then realised how much we wanted to be in their lives and make a difference. And those people happened to have sensory disabilities. And so then we went, okay, what can we do to help them more? And how can I be the best therapist to help them kind of achieve their goals and live their best life? And yeah, as a result, Rachel and I both completed master's degrees to kind of just be the best therapist we can be for the families that we show up for every day. And yeah, it's just kind of been like, I didn't set out to work in this field. We didn't set out to work with kids who are deafblind. We just met children and went, wow, let's help you. How do I help you the best? And this is how we do that.
Yeah, awesome. What are some of the most common challenges or barriers you see with with those families with, you know, children with really complex needs, like for the child and also for the family as a whole?
So in general, I think one of the main challenges that we face is working collaboratively with people, I guess. So the kids that we work with have lots of people involved in their care. Usually they've got a support coordinator, medical team, lots of community involvement, and also like their school. So we want to make sure that we surround ourselves with good people like you guys, because having a great support coordinator
Little plug
can really help us to make sure that parents don't need to continue to like retell their story and say things 10 times, because it's really fatiguing for our family.
Story fatigue. Yeah.
So I think that's probably our major area that we like to try to decrease that burden for families, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome. And do you see therapy having benefits for children and families beyond child's, you know, physical or developmental outcomes? Like, do you see mental health benefits? Do you see, you know, more social connections? You know, child's been able to build on some social skills development. Yeah. Do you see some benefits that maybe aren't as obvious and the cut and dried achieve this outcome A to B?
I think so. For us, we really like to use the F words of disability, which really takes away from the physical stuff or the things they can't do and really focuses on them as an individual, their life in their family and their friends and whatever they kind of want to do in life, rather than thinking, oh, you need to walk in a particular way, you need to do this in a particular way. We don't care how you do it. We're just going to get you to do it in a way that works for you. So having that focus means that we're not thinking about the negative things or the things that they can't do, but we're really focusing on, hey, let's look at what you enjoy socially and what you enjoy like playing with even, and then that obviously is going to have a flow-on effect for their mental health and things like that too.
Yeah, for sure. It's like just the foundations of starting with the person first, isn't it? Person-centered and working from someone's strengths, like strengths-based approach. But I think it's easy to say and harder to do, isn't it? Especially when potentially like the plan is put together by a planner and they, you know, I was a planner, have outcomes that you use similar goals, obviously talking with families, but there's similar goals there and they're potentially not as tailored. So I think it's important like to take, and I've seen you guys that would take the plan goals, but then break it down a little bit more and tailor it more to that child and that family and where they're at in their situation and what's possible for them at school and at home, and look at it a bit more holistically. So that's awesome. Another thing I want to talk about was the community events that you guys run. Haven't been to one yet, but they look awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why you started them, and what your plan is for that and what the families get out of them?
They are the best fun ever. That was one of the things that Rach and I really wanted to do when we started our own thing, was find a way to bring people together and find a way to, I don't know, I guess we go to people's houses and we see like copy and paste. Mum's struggling. Things are really hard. She's the mum of the only kid in the country with that diagnosis. She feels like it's never going to get better. And then I get in my car and then I go to the next house and I see the same thing again. And it's like, how do we make this so that they're not by themselves? Like, we need to bring these people out of their houses and together so that we can build communities of people who don't feel like they're by themselves. And we have just put on essentially kids' birthday party vibe, but inclusive and accessible. We've been to playgrounds. Our winter one, we did it in a hall so that the weather didn't affect it, and we had a big bubble show. The one we recently did, we had a ball pit and a bouncy castle, and worked with the supplier of that to make it so that all the kids, like regardless of their ability, could get in the ball pit or get on the bouncy castle or eat the fairy bread or whatever that looked like. And the coolest thing about the parties is us therapists kind of bring the kids together, and then the parents just kind of find each other, and we say, hey, you need to go meet her, and like, have you met this person? And you guys should get chatting about this thing because maybe you've got that in common. And then people have kind of started to connect with each other beyond that. And it's now become something that everyone really looks forward to the next one.
Yeah, that's so important, I think. And you alluded to it at the start of your answer was around, it's like quite isolating. Often it is a single parent, let's face it, 90% of the time, it's mum that's doing the caring. Parents often split up. potentially the parent can't work anymore because of the caring responsibilities. They're in their house a lot with their child doing a lot of caring. So it's very isolating. So I think it's awesome that you're sort of providing a bit of an opportunity to foster connections and have that, I guess, like peer support, isn't it? Like parents talking to each other, as well as the children as well, playing together. Oh, that's so awesome. Should we talk about early intervention? I know that's obviously the NDIS have an early intervention pathway. Why is early intervention so critical? Yeah, why is it so critical to get that therapy in for kids early in their life?
Yeah, so I guess like every parent probably hears, oh, you have this window of opportunity, it's really important. So I guess we kind of try to balance harnessing that window and really getting everything we can out of the first kind of 5 years of life, but also just getting parents to slow down and realize that it's not the be all and end all. Yes, we have a great opportunity to achieve lots of things because of all of the new networks that we can create in the brain or all the pathways that are still developing. So we have a huge window of opportunity, but we just need, like we said before, for kids to be kids, and we can inbuild our therapy and use coaching with our parents to show them that we can just have therapy in everyday activities rather than having all this huge structure in everything that you do, because we kind of know that kids learn best by doing the things that they want to do. If we're thinking about a kid that wants to sit up and play with their brothers, we don't necessarily need to be there to do that with the kids. We can coach the parents and show them how to inbuild opportunities to achieve that goal throughout their day, and that's going to be more beneficial than practicing that every day than us coming in once a week and practicing that for an hour.
Yeah. So you're talking about, rather than the strategies just being implemented for your 1 hour therapy a week, like how can we sort of embed that into everyday life, I guess?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. You guys work with a lot of families navigating the NDIS. What sort of advice, say if you meet a family for the first time, it's the first NDIS plan and their child's just got a diagnosis, what's that conversation look like from your guys' end? What sort of things are you exploring with them? What advice are you giving them or guidance?
Well, a quick plug. We have a
Plug away.
a fact sheet on our website that anyone can download, and it's called 5 Questions to Ask Your Therapist Before Getting Started. Something we really pride ourselves in is building strong relationships with the families and the kids before we get started. Therapy works best when everyone's calm, everyone's happy, everyone trusts each other, and you feel like you can talk to your therapist about anything, because the reality is, if we're a good fit for each other, we'll be in each other's lives for 10 plus years for a lot of these families. We particularly are like, we'll come out, we'll meet you. And if you don't like us, or we're not the right fit for you, or you don't feel like we're going to be someone that you can trust and work with, that's cool. No hard feelings. But we, really make sure that we kind of are the right person to be part of their family's journey. Yeah. And then like Rach was saying, we work really hard to kind of very carefully analyze somebody's daily routine. And it is like, it sounds quite basic, but it's very scientific. Like the way that we kind of work with our families, have analysed what they do in their life and then what the child's goals are and how we can, in a very tailored approach, kind of give that child opportunities to work towards those goals that don't feel overwhelming, that isn't stressful, that doesn't feel like homework. That's something that we really pride ourselves on.
Yeah, awesome. In terms of running the therapy practice, what have been some big learnings for you, some challenges? What have been the highlights? Just talk to us a bit about starting the therapy practice. How long ago was Kinetic Kids created?
2 years. So
2 years?
It was 2 years in January, and deciding to start Kinetic Kids was like the best decision we could have made. I think, in our minds, we were always thinking, we'll do something, but we were kind of too scared to take the leap.
It's scary, right? Yeah.
Deciding to make that leap was the best decision we made, but it's definitely been a steep learning curve. So we kind of briefly touched on before we started recording that one of the biggest things that's been tricky is the marketing side of things and like the business side of stuff, because we don't learn any of that. So we kind of need to upskill ourselves in those areas because, we're great therapists. And our first year, we kind of just put our heads down and we were a therapist. I was a physio and was an OT, and we just did that. And now as we're kind of maturing as a business, we're really having a strong focus on how we can do a little bit better from a leadership and a business point of view. So we kind of try to surround ourselves with like-minded people, and we're not afraid to ask questions, and we reflect to try and expand and develop ourselves in that aspect of our careers as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a journey, isn't it? Going from therapist to business owner, learning about like Xero and accounts and invoicing, and also like marketing and HR and business systems. It's like all of a sudden you have to perhaps not have specialized knowledge, because you can always bring in an accountant and a bookkeeper and a marketer, but you sort of need to still be understanding of every area, at least to a shallow degree. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. But I guess one positive for Emily and I is there's two of us. So I can take on some roles that are better suited to me, and Emily can take on the spreadsheets.
Yeah, do you have different skill sets, you two? Like what things are you best at, Rach? What things are you best at, Em? Do you sort of divide and conquer a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So I do a lot of the like marketing and like face-to-face onboarding of clients, and Emily does all of
The invoicing, the money, the spreadsheets.
The fun stuff.
apparently.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And who's in the team now? It's not just you two anymore. Do you want to talk us through what the team looks like at the moment?
We have an OT Kiara and a physio Paris, and they're both full-time. And they've been just amazing additions to our little team.
Yeah. Where did you find them? Did you run a recruitment drive? Are they through professional networks?
Yeah, we tried traditional ways of advertising, and to be honest, they both just found their way to us, and they were a beautiful fit. And so we have no tips for recruitment because we didn't really.
I think the one thing that we probably think is the most important about recruiting is not necessarily about somebody's, on paper skill set. It's probably more about their personality and how they fit with our team, because we are happy to provide our staff with professional development opportunities and, attending courses and things like that to upskill them from an OT or physio side of things. But we really need somebody that's going to be able to develop the relationships with the families and really kind of live by our Kinetic Kids values, because I think that's what sets us apart from some of the other organisations.
Yeah, that's so true. I think like the attitude, like willingness to learn and being positive and being good with people and like contributing positively to that team culture that you're trying to build is so important. And then as long as you get someone that obviously has some good clinical knowledge, but you guys have that as well, so you can really upskill them if someone's willing to learn, whereas changing someone's attitude or the way they approach families or work is a little bit harder to mold, if you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, I totally agree with that. What's the saying, like hire for attitude, train for skills, or something like that? Yeah, it's so true. So yeah, you're sort of entering that second phase. Like, do you guys still have a clinical caseload? Yeah, what's that look like at the moment? Is it a reduced caseload? And then what do you see in like a year's time and 2 years' time? Are you happy with the current size? Do you want to build it out a bit more and then not have a caseload? Yeah, what's your vision?
So Emily and I still have a clinical caseload, and we think that this is kind of key to having a successful business, because we can kind of have that on-ground experience or like knowledge, I guess. So we kind of can keep our fingers on what's going on and what families need to make sure that we are providing families that we work with the service that they want. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think it's definitely good, even having a small caseload, isn't it? You keep your finger on the pulse, and then you don't go out of touch with what's happening. So that's cool. And sorry, Em.
Yeah, I was going to say, we didn't start this to not, like, one of our goals was always I always want to be an OT, Rach always wants to be a physio. We didn't start this to then build an empire and then sit in an ivory tower. Like, we really want to keep being on the road with the families, like absolutely involved with everybody.
Yeah, awesome. And with the like changes in the NDIS, obviously there's been price freezes for OT, I think for 6th year in a row. How are you managing that? How do you manage sort of billables with your staff? Have there been some challenges? Yeah, how are you sort of navigating that?
We've come from environments where it's like, where's your billables, how are you meeting your targets, blah, blah, blah. And then you're so focused on, I'll do this thing and I'll make sure I, see that person and get this. No, we don't do that. We don't touch that, because we believe that if you've got the work there and you're doing a good job, then everything else will sort itself out.
Yeah.
That there's no point discussing, there's no point putting pressure on people. If someone is like on paper underperforming, there's a reason. Like they're struggling, things are hard, people are cancelling, there's a reason for that. I don't feel like there's ever going to be a time where we're going to be kind of scrutinizing people for their performance, and it's up to us to figure the money out. Like that's not the staff's problem.
Yeah, awesome. I like that approach. If someone's underperforming, quote unquote, it's usually because like there's a reason why. If you're hiring people that care about their work and they're doing their best, then it's more of a responsibility on like the leaders to upskill that person or support them in a different way, rather than, people aren't generally underperforming on purpose. So there's like a reason why, isn't there? So, that's awesome.
When we started Kinetic Kids, one of our big focuses was to create a workplace that we can have a healthy work-life balance and really have a culture that we're kind of proud of. And we really want to make sure that if Paris or Kiara have a bad day, because sometimes you could go to a family and it's just, you just need to go to the beach afterwards. So we kind of want to create a culture where if they need to take half a day off because they just had a really a visit that was just a little bit much, then we just say, yeah, that's fine, cancel your appointments. All of our families understand because they're in that same situation, and they know that if it was reversed, we would be giving them our time and our energy. So if we have to say, hey, sorry, we need to change around our appointment, they're usually really good with that too.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a two-way relationship, isn't it? It's reciprocal. So that's great to have that understanding. Where do you think therapy is sort of evolving in the future? Obviously you guys having conversations around the NDIS, there's heaps of changes. Has there been anything that has sort of affected you and Kinetic Kids, or that you're sort of keeping your eye on over the next couple of years?
There is, but something that we have constant conversations about is we just worry about what we can control, and everything else will just figure itself out. I think it's very easy to get down in the dumps about how it's hard. Our job is becoming harder and we're seeing families in really tricky positions, but it's like we can control how we show up on the day. We can control the quality of the work that we provide. We can control the quality of the reports that we do, and that's it. And so we just focus on that.
Yeah, for sure. That internal locus of control, isn't it? And it's like keeping up to date with the changes, like not burying your head in the sand, but also if you can't control it, you don't know for sure what's happening. Is it really helpful to really buy into it and stress yourself out? Probably not. Yeah, awesome. Okay, and if people want to connect with you, or maybe a parent's listening and wants to connect with therapy, what's the best way? Where's the office? What's the website?
So the best way to come to us if you want to work with us for therapy is go directly to our website and fill out our referral form. We also are quite active on social media, so you can follow us on Instagram or TikTok, and we're just Kinetic Kids WA, and same with our website, kinetickidswa.com.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? I think I've run out of my questions. The grilling is over.
I think that's it.
I think we're good.
We've covered it. All right. Well, I'm sure you've got a busy day rest of today, but thanks so much for coming on, and I'm sure everyone listening got heaps out of that. So I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Em. Thanks, Rach.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.